Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Planning Committee for Portsmouth City Council, held here in the Council Chamber, and welcome. In terms of housekeeping, if there is a fire, it's a fire alarm, it's real, and please then assemble by Queen Victoria in the square, and if you've signed in, sign out. We're live streamed or web streamed, so when your microphone is on, the camera comes to you, and that includes people who are doing deputations. I think that's it. I think it looks as if we're a relatively full house, although I can't see young Shah. Mary, are you Shah?
He's given his apologies. No,
Okay.
I'm not Shah. I'm here in my own right. Thank you very much.
Excellent. It's good to see you. So shall we quickly then do introductions, just so everybody knows who they are? Mary, would you like to start?
Councillor Mary Vallely, here representing Cosham and Wimmering.
Councillor Judith Smythe, St Jude Ward, and Vice Chair of this committee.
Good morning, Chair. Chris Atwell, St Thomas Ward.
Good morning, Derek North for Cosham and Wimmering.
You're remarkably quiet, Matthew.
Hello.
That's a bit better.
Hi, everybody. Matthew here from Matthew Corley from Hilsey Ward.
Good morning, everyone. Nicholas Dorrington, Eastern and Craneswater.
Peter Candlish, Eastern and Craneswater.
Hugh Mason, Councillor St Jude Ward.
And then we have councillors coming to speak to us. Richard?
Richard Adair, Councillor for Nelson Ward, making 2 deputations.
Ben?
Councillor Benedict Swan, Copner and Anchorage Park Ward, making 2 deputations.
Thank you very much indeed. So let's go round. Simon?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Simon Turner, Planning Officer and a Team Leader in the Planning Department.
Jane?
Jane Dodino, Local Democracy Officer.
Okay. Colleagues at the back?
Good morning, Kerry Evans, applicant for 93 Gladys Avenue.
Thank you.
Carrie-Anne Wells, agent for Applecourt, deputising on 5 items today.
Excellent.
Good morning, I'm Juliette Gill, I'm the Principal Planning Solicitor of Portsmouth City Council.
And we're honoured today by being joined by the news in person. Yes. Ian? Excellent. And? Okay, lovely. Thank you very much indeed for coming, everybody. It's nice to see you all. Okay, so, colleagues, any declarations of interest that we need to record? No declarations of interest. Colleagues, the minutes of the previous meeting of the 19th of June, colleagues, are you happy with those minutes? Happy. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, let's move on to the planning applications. Colleagues, can I just quickly ask, has anybody got to leave before we've been through all these applications? Has anybody got a time thing? No. Okay, great. Okay, 93 Gladys Avenue. Simon, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. If I may, could I just, member's request, just have a quick look at the pre-submission local plan? I was asked to give just a very brief overview to set the context for everyone. Thank you, Chairman. So, members, in this report and in all the other reports, in this report it's on paragraph 5.3. We refer to the emerging local plan, and for members of the public also just setting a bit of context as to where we are with the local plan process. We have, of course, to have the adopted 2012 local plan and the supplementary planning documents, for example, the HMO SPD, for the last few years and months.
Simon, what's an SPD for people watching?
Supplementary planning document.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are embarking, as every local planning authority does, on the next phase, the next stage for the local plan, 2020 to 2040. That's a long process. It's a formal and public process. We've gone quite a long way already, but there's still a good way to go. So as the document sets out at para 5.4, the draft pre-submission Portsmouth Local Plan 2020 to 2040 was approved at full council on the 28th of May. With respect to the HMO policies, we've listed PLP 1, PLP 20, 47 and 48. And then we conclude, this is very succinct, having regard to the National Planning Policy Framework, the NPPF, paragraph 48, limited weight is given to those policies at this time because we're halfway through, or we're a certain way through, the local plan preparation and adoption process. So, as members may be aware, yesterday the local plan regulation 19 went out for public consultation. So the detailed policies you see in front of you are subject to that public consultation, so they're not yet adopted, which is why, in a nutshell, we say there is limited weight in the round to be given to those policies. And naturally, as we progress through the summer and see the results of those consultations and so on, we may give you more updates to come. So that was just a brief overview that I hope has perhaps set it in some context for you.
Okay, colleagues, is that helpful? Lovely. Okay.
Thank you.
For the third time of asking, as it says in church, for your banns of marriage, we'll get to 93 Gladys Avenue.
Thank you, Chairman. We have an application for a change of use from a dwelling house, Class C3, to an 8-person, 8-bedroom house in multiple occupation. The application has come to Planning Committee because of 7 objections, including a joint objection from Councillors Hunt and Adair. So, Gladys Avenue up in Nelson Ward, north-south road, running up towards the Alexandra Park. So it's the property on this side. So it's end of terrace next to a smaller block of flats. You can see there. That's the property in question. So we've had 7 objections, as I mentioned, taking us through some local concerns about housing stock, noise and disturbance, crime, parking, infrastructure, the number of HMOs, the community impact, property prices, night rates, light, and general 10% policy we have. Members are familiar with the 2 principal strands of policy we look at, policy and guidance with respect to HMOs. First of all, considering the local balance of the community, that is to say residential uses, we have the 50-metre radius within which there is a 10% threshold to indicate whether or not an area is in an imbalance with respect to the community. So if we're below 10%, it's generally deemed to be in some balance and acceptable. At this site, we have number 87 to the south is an existing HMO there. Number 93, the application site, already has a consent from last year for a 7-person HMO, so is already in the figures, already counts as an HMO. And then we have number 101 next on the agenda as a proposed HMO. So counting these 3, if all approved, including the next one, taking worst case scenario, so to speak, that would result in a percentage of 5%, so well within the 10% threshold, indicative of a mixed and balanced community. So it complies with that central strand of policy or guidance. Then moving on to the amenity offered for the occupiers in terms of room sizes. Existing plans, good sized house, the loft conversion. As the report sets out, there would the conversion extension works are already taking place, and so they're waiting for a decision on this application to see about the level of occupancy. With respect to the room sizes, we've popped on the numbers responding to your request last time, so you can very clearly see which room is which. The large numbers in red are the bedroom numbers, and then the table you have in the report sets out the room sizes. So each of the bedrooms exceed the 10 square metres, which is the size expectation if the communal kitchen dining area exceeds 22.5 or vice versa. So downstairs, we have a bedroom number 6 and its ensuite, bedroom number 8, then the kitchen dining room to the rear here, with a back door there, and then at the rear an extension to accommodate bedroom number 7. The property has a rear access a few doors down. It goes down the side and along the back to access the rear of the property. I can make it out. It's hard to make out on the plan. I think it's down there and along the back. So access through the house isn't necessary for bikes to get into the yard, as it happens in this case. Upstairs, 3 bedrooms. Bedroom 3, an ensuite, 4, an ensuite, 5, an ensuite, and then in the extended loft, 2 more bedrooms and ensuites. Now, I mentioned the previous consent from last year for 7 persons. This is application for 8. So those were the approved plans. So essentially what they've done is extend a little further to the rear here to give them a bit more space, and inserted another bedroom in the space here. This is for comparison, for information rather than comparison, because the committee would bound to be interested. So there's the direct floor plans from the approved plans last year to the new ones here. So essentially, a new bedroom is proposed at bedroom 8 here, and then a larger rear extension to accommodate bedroom 7. I would remind members to concentrate on the approved plans, plans today for decision rather than a comparison between the two. So to confirm, because all the bedrooms are 10 square metres or larger, the communal kitchen dining area needs to be 22.5. It is 23.49. So in terms of size standards alone, it meets the standards of the council. And then in terms of the disposition and layout and light of the overall property, officers also are satisfied. This will provide a good level of amenity for its occupiers. So on those 2 principal strands, and notwithstanding some of the objections, we recommend the application to you.
Simon, thank you very much indeed. We'll come to deputations in a second, but before we do so, I've had some concerns raised with me about some of the tone of speeches of members, and I just think it's important to remember that we should be treating everybody with both courtesy and respect in both deputations and what the committee says, and I'm sure everybody will do that. Thank you, colleagues. Okay, so we have 3 deputations. We have now. I'm slightly bemused. Oh, yeah, so we have Carrie-Anne and Wells, the agent, Kerry Evans, the applicant, and Councillor Richard Adair. So in that order. Of course.
Good morning. Yeah, Kerry Evans, the applicant for 93 Gladys Avenue. Little bit background of myself. I actually lived in an HMO when I got divorced, and many of those relationships and friendships I still have nearly 20 years later. So for me, the HMO is quite a personal thing. I'm looking to kind of get people that were very similar to me in that situation. So we're looking for professional tenants and looking to have them make sure that the property is professionally managed and oversee it. It's very important to me. I'm not a wealthy property developer. This is really my life savings, is my pension, as I don't have one. Lost that in the divorce. So it's a very personal property to me, and with Carrie-Anne and the team, have been holding my hand and looking after me. We've corrected a lot of the mistakes that were made from a previous, how do I be polite, from a previous team, and it's at great expense that we've taken on board what's been said by building control and what Carrie-Anne and the team have advised me to get this house corrected and make sure it makes all the right requirements of approval. So yes, it's been a labour of love as well. I just want to build a nice home for people to live in because I've got very fond memories of the property that I lived in. So yeah, that's my little bit. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Anne. Ms. Wells.
Thank you. So as Simon says, this is an application for an 8-person. This property has previous 7-bed approval. So in reality today, you're considering that addition of one additional person. As you may be aware, this property has the previous planning approval, The developer carrying out the works did not build as per the plans and caused both the homeowner and the surrounding neighbours considerable distress. This resulted in planning enforcement involvement for an authorised raising of the roof. At further additional cost to our client, the property has had to undergo additional works in excess of £100,000 in order to rectify the issues. Because of this, the 8th bedroom is now proposed in order to try and minimise the financial impact on our client and his family. As you've heard from Mr Evans, having just this one HMO has been a desire of his since he found himself in need of such accommodation and made some lifelong friends before moving on with the next chapter in his life. All 8 bedrooms proposed meet or exceed 10 square metres. The required communal area for 8 persons and all bedrooms meet the 10 square room size is 22.5, and this property provides 23.49, a floor area which meets that requirement. All of the bedrooms also benefit from an ensuite. An additional WC you can see is proposed at ground floor for the comfort of the residents. The property benefits from the rear access, as Simon already touched on, that allows easier access to cycle storage, which will be secure and weatherproof, and storage, in the rear of the garden. The house will be finished to a high specification as our client is keen to offer tenants high-end accommodation. The property will be professionally managed and any issues that arise will be dealt with promptly. The application is fully compliant with policy PCS 17, PCS 20 and PCS 23 of the local plan and also complies with the Housing and Multiple Occupational Supplementary Planning document. The Planning Officer has recommended this fully compliant application for approval today and I ask that you all fully support this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Adair.
Thank you, Chair. Although 93 Gladys Avenue has permission for a 7-bedroomed HMO granted on the 29th of November 2023, the same arguments apply to this application today. Having knocked on hundreds of doors and spoken to an equal number of residents, a full range of issues constantly raised on the doorstep. But in areas with larger houses, HMOs are raised as a major concern. Residents tell me that they wait with trepidation every time a large property comes onto the market, fearing that an application will be made to convert it into an HMO. Residents tell me that they feel powerless to halt what they perceive as the relentless spread of HMOs. Householders are very aware that not enough affordable housing has been built, and HMOs are very much a symptom of this. However, they do not feel that HMOs with upwards of 8 people in a single house is the answer. Residents fear that the character of their area is being adversely impacted by such developments, as it puts additional strains on already stretched local services, including GPs and sewage. In areas which do not have a residence parking scheme, there is genuine concern of the possibility of 8 more additional cars on roads where residents already struggle to park, particularly after they finish work. If you are minded to grant this application, then Councillor Hunt and I ask that you request a review of the parking standards for HMOs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Colleagues, any questions to the officers? Councillor Mason.
Bedroom 8. Looks as if it is very dark. How much window space is there? And is that just onto a narrow alleyway, the width, scarcely more than the width of the window?
Yes, Councillor. So let's just... that's bedroom 8 there. Members will be aware different properties in Portsmouth or any other cities have different widths of the gap. We tend to call it the light well here. Down the side there, some are wider, some are narrower. This will be certainly on the narrow side, but nevertheless, I think you would still gain a decent amount, a reasonable amount of light into that bedroom. From that one window. That's my opinion.
So it's a full height window. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And colleagues, I'm going to sound like a planning officer now for which I apologise. My understanding is we've already given planning permission for a 7-bed HMO here. Therefore, we need to just be looking at any different bits. And that bedroom with a window was, I think, part of the previously approved. No, it wasn't. Sorry.
It was part of the kitchen, Chair, but I still don't. I still think the point is well made. But it was not part of a bed.
Okay, my apology. Councillor Dorrington.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, a question. We've started to see quite a few of these applications come through now, and all of them have tank rooms, but this one doesn't seem to. Is there a reason for that?
I don't know. Yeah, yes, would you mind, Kerry? It's under the stairs, sorry, it should be on the... Could you use my tank, please? So probably better to,
Sorry, the tanks are under the stairs in this property.
Okay. And one other thing, with regards to bedroom 7, it states that the floor space in bedroom 7 is 10.03 square metres. And although that complies, shall I say, I do have a concern with regards to the hallway going past the toilet on bedroom 7 and how usable that space is. I mean, my assumption on that is it's somewhere around about 0.9 metres wide by around about a metre long, which would mean that it's actually 0.9 square metres. Once you remove that from the 10.03, you only actually get usable space of 9.13 square metres.
So, Nick, are you talking about the space between the two doors?
No, the space from the first door to the end of the bathroom.
So the door between the kitchen...
No, next door over. So
going up?
Yeah, the bedroom door to the end of the bathroom.
Okay.
Is how usable would that space be deemed?
Simon?
Thank you. I wouldn't really call it... Let's get the other pointer up. This one's not working. So we're talking about here the door, clearly a separation door between the kitchen and the bedroom.
No, I'm talking about the next door up.
Yes.
Because presumably that's already outside of the room size.
Just getting to there. Yeah. So there's a small lobby, effectively. Then the door into the bedroom 7, and then a small short area there that provides access into the ensuite. Yes, clearly the 10.03 includes that area, but I wouldn't call that a corridor or a particularly wasted space. I think we have seen applications where there is a long corridor included in the bedroom size, and if that long corridor means the room is only just is used to make the room just at 10 square metres, then we will often bring that up with the agent and seek a change, and normally we'll get a positive response, some sort of change. I wouldn't call that a long corridor at all. It's an entryway into the bedroom, and I don't really think that there's any loss, really, material loss of usable space in the room. I still think that provides an adequate room in total of 10 square metres.
Colleagues, any other questions?
Chairman, sorry, I just wanted to make sure the committee had heard. We didn't have a re-elevation, but the agent helpfully explained that the window to bedroom 8 is shown as a full height glazed window, which, so if this is approved in compliance with the plans, that would be providing maximum light into that room.
Okay. Colleagues, any other questions? No. Okay. Colleagues, comments? I think just one from me. It was interesting to hear the deputations. I don't think we can or should be influenced by whether a previous builder has messed up or not. Our job is to look at what the planning application is. Lots of people make lots of major mistakes in terms of building and finances, but that's not our role to dig them out of those holes. We have to look at the plans. Is that correct, Simon?
Yeah, the plans in front of you are the matters in question in compliance with policy.
Okay.
Chairman, I do apologise. I didn't go through the SMAT, which we do normally do first, so I do apologise, and we ought to go through that for consistency. We did have an additional objection, I think it was yesterday, from or on behalf of the Oriel Roads Residents Association. Some of the points we've touched on already in the debate, not surprisingly. The objection noted the previously approved 7-person consent, which had a larger communal kitchen dining room. The objection doesn't believe there's enough space for all the facilities and perhaps not enough for bikes. We've looked at that. They question whether or not there's access to the back garden. There is. And could the kitchen be ventilated? Yes, it could, by way of door and window. The objection questioned whether the proposed permitted development works actually are permitted development. The officer response is yes, they are. There was concern about the properties to either side being flats and too much intensivity of occupation. Officers commented that flats are not counted in the HMO density calculations, nor in sandwiching or 3 in a row elements of the SPD. The objection thinks the space standards are only just met with this application and shouldn't be treated as minimum targets. Many of the rooms are well above the minimum amounts, but in any event, if they only all meet the minimum, they did nevertheless meet it. But in this event, this application, they exceed, many of them comfortably, the sizes. And lastly, a question about the taxing of the property, which is for the Council Tax Service. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. I think my worry here is the light to the kitchen. But am I right, Simon, that those are 2 skylights, the little dots? Is that correct?
Yes, well spotted. Yep.
Okay. All right, colleagues. Comments. Peter?
So just 2 comments. The first one you stole from me, which was to say that just as we can't look at the owner of the property's financial position in looking at the property, the same applies to the residents' concerns about any impact on property prices. And we know that we are unable to look at some of the concerns which people are putting forward. The positive thing I wanted just to record was the full-length lighting on that room. That is at least the best solution that we are going to see to something that we are seeing increasingly often. So we often take the opportunity to criticise. I think we should take the opportunity to commend and say that we want to see more of that kind of thing in there.
Okay. Colleagues, I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation. Do I have a seconder? Yep. Vice Chair of the committee, Councillor Smythe. Thank you. Any other proposals? No. Okay. Can I see those in favour? Please show. Those against, please show. Those abstaining, please show. Thank you very much indeed. I did not. Okay. All right. Thank you very much indeed for that one. Let's move on to just down the road, number 101.
Thank you, Chairman. This is an application at 101 Gladys Avenue for the change of use from a dwelling house to a 7-person, 7-bedroom house in multiple occupation. This application is coming to the Planning Committee because of 11 objections, including from Councillors Hunt and Adair. Here we are, just a few doors down from the previous item on the north-south road of Gladys Avenue. It's a mid-terraced property. With respect to the principle of the development, or indeed more like the issue of mixed and balanced community, we have the same 3 properties in question in the 50-metre radius. Is obviously slightly different to the previous application, but it captures the 3 same HMOs. Number 87, just further south, which is already an HMO. The application site proposed to be an HMO, and number 93, which already has an HMO consent and has just been approved for the 8-person now. So there are 3 properties resulting, if this one is approved, in the 50-metre radius. Slightly different number of properties. It would result in a density of 4.8%, so well within the 10% threshold to consider whether this would be a mixed and balanced community still. So it passes that test. Then secondly, moving on to the accommodation. So it is a good-sized 3-bedroomed property. The site would be extended with a permitted development rear extension and a rear roof dormer and front roof lights. They're up in the roof to provide more space. There are the 7 bedrooms set out for you. So bedroom 1, 13.2, generous size with an ensuite. A communal WC. Bedroom 2, 12.1, well exceeding the 10 square metres, and ensuite. And then the kitchen dining room at 24.3, again exceeding the 22.5. Bedroom 3, 11.7, and an ensuite. Bedroom 4, 12.6, and an ensuite. Bedroom 5, 11, and an ensuite. And up into the loft. Bedroom 6, 13.9, and ensuite. Bedroom 7, 13.6, and ensuite. So again, the bedrooms here are all a very good size, well in excess of your minimum size. So the property meets your guidance on room sizes, and any subjective analysis of the disposition and light to the rooms, I think, would be that the property would offer a good standard of accommodation also, as well as the room sizes for the future occupiers. So notwithstanding the objections listed in front of you and considered, officers feel we can recommend it for approval. Just like to bring your attention to the Supplementary Matters Report, the SMAT. Since publication, we've had one further objection concerned about the concentration of HMOs, the character of the area, the property devaluation, which is feared, parking and impact on existing infrastructure, internal living conditions, noise and disturbance. These matters have been dealt with in the report, and briefly some of them just now. And then we just wanted to bring to your attention what's this? There's ground floor side. The ground floor side and rear extension from bedroom 7. I think this has been placed in the wrong. I do apologise. That should have been in the previous. Just let me look at this for one moment. I think the report has just picked up the comments from 93 from officers. Just trying to make sure about that. Bedroom 7. It's certainly not relevant to this application. I'm sorry, Chairman and Committee, I'm not sure where this comment is relating to. I don't think it's this application, because bedroom 7 in this application is up in the roof. So I think we can disregard that comment. I do apologise for the SMAT.
Okay, Simon, are you finished, do you think? I have. Lovely, thanks. In which case we have deputations starting off with Carrie Ann.
So on this particular property, all bedrooms range from 11.13 to 13.98. Most are significantly larger than the 10 square metres required. The required communal area when all bedrooms exceed 10 is 22.5, and this property again provides 24.86, exceeding that requirement. All of the bedrooms benefit from an ensuite with an additional WC at ground floor for the comfort of the residents. A large lantern is also within the communal area to provide additional light. You talked a little bit about the window. This window is not a full-length window, but there's a much wider alleyway to this one and a good amount of light into that rear bedroom. That has been concerned from members previously. I just wanted to pick up on something that Councillor Dare said about neighbours fearing properties for sale locally will be HMOs. I want to say, while I fully understand residents' fear of the unknown, I can absolutely say with confidence from the neighbours surrounding our managed properties that we all speak to regularly, will also the tenants next door are nothing like they expected. And when speaking to people who choose to live in the HMOs, most of them would love to be accepted as part of the local community and not treated as social pariahs before they even move into the property. And I feel that's a really important point that we need to get across. People need these housing. People choose to live in them, not necessarily even need to. We've had a tenant recently that's earning £60,000 a year and has chosen to live in a shared HMO. These are becoming a property of choice for some people. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Councillor Adair.
Thank you, Chair. As this application is only 4 doors down from the last application, clearly everything I said in my first deputation applies very much to this, and I don't endure you with a repeat of it. Just a few points I've been asked to bring about this is the room sizes. I know they are compliant, but perhaps I have to take a very careful look at them because some of them are only just compliant. There is one particular issue I'd like to raise, and I don't know whether it can be seen as a planning matter, but it's Gladys Avenue, and it's a very, very congested road. I know you've made comments on it before. I frequently travel down Gladys Avenue, and it's literally like car slalom. You go down from whether you travel south or north, north or south, you literally go along the road, you pull in, you pull out, you pull in, you pull in, out, and then you see a bus and you have to stop, then a tractor or something comes along. It is a very, very congested road, and I hear from members of the public who live in there that as soon as they arrive home from work, whatever time that will be, they find a parking space, they park, and their car does not move. They know that the second they move their car out, somebody takes their place, and the chance of finding a parking space in the vicinity is virtually nil. Also, I'd like to say this is over-intensification. I appreciate everything about the 50-metre rule, the 50-metre rule applies, but this is 2 HMOs within a very short space of each other. 4 doors, you've got 1 HMO, another 4 doors, you've got another HMO. So I say it's an over-intensification of the area. Clearly, we have the ongoing issues with doctors, surgeries, dentists, sewage. And these are all very pertinent to this, but I particularly ask you to look at the parking. Again, we've got a potential of 8 more cars in roads where people cannot at the moment find a space to park. So we're going to possibly endure another 8 cars. It's going to make a very bad situation even worse. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. Can I, first of all, Simon, can I say thank you for putting these red numbers on? Very helpful to be able to be clear, very useful. And to carry on looking at the list of appliances in these kitchens, there's no dishwasher.
So they can either have a double sink or a dishwasher. Generally, as part of the licensing standard, they can either have the double sink or the dishwasher. Most of our clients choose to put dishwashers in. Like we've previously said, we put the minimum up there, what the licensing requirements are, but when these kitchens are actually designed, they're designed with every electrical outlet, every worktop, every cupboard in mind.
Does it? Oh, it says dishwasher. Chris has got better eyes than me.
Oh, yeah, this one has got a dishwasher on it.
Sorry.
But they're all to comply with licensing, and we haven't ever had a licence refused.
No. Does it? All right, sorry. I'm going to claim that my screen is very small here, and therefore I can't see it. Okay, colleagues, any questions? Councillor Mason.
Bedroom 5, whilst it meets the required standards, part of that would appear to be under the stairs going upwards to bedrooms 6 and 7. Do we have the 10 square metres of usable space in bedroom 5? Because some of it would obviously appear to be almost a cupboard under the stairs.
Thank you, Councillor. So you're talking about this area being under here. I notice that the stairs landing is here, so this is full height at that point. If I move across, it's full height. That landing is above that corner, so I wouldn't have thought there appears to be any, that the sloping ceiling finishes at the top step there. So I think the answer is that The whole of the room is 1.5 or taller to the ceiling, and so the 11 square metres stated for bedroom 5 I think is accurate.
Karen, microphone, please.
The drawing's been cut off halfway. You can see half the ensuite's missing as well. There is a wall, and it's a fully square room in bedroom 5.
That's right. So, with apologies, Karen's right. This has well, you can just about see the wall there, but yeah, the stairs carries on here. That's right. So it's full height.
So can I be clear, Simon, that this sort of corridor in bedroom 5 going down the screen is full height all the way down?
Apologies, because it's been cut off. Unfortunately, it's been cut off at this point. The wall to bedroom 5 extends across here.
Across there.
It's
Okay.
a square across, yeah. So it's in line with the top of the stairs.
Simon, there's work we clearly need to do in terms of how we present plans for future meetings. Okay, Councillor Smythe.
Following on from that, where does the shower go in for bedroom 3?
With apologies, it's the same problem from whoever did the presentation plan. The room is fully square. The shower is where I'm indicating with the cursor, just there. So it's 3.3 square metres above the size, minimum size. You can just see the edge of the shower there.
Okay.
Apologies for that.
Okay, I was worried it was against the window or something very odd, so thank you very much. That's, I think there is room for it.
Simon, I thought, just thinking about how we present this for the future, I kind of wondered whether we need each floor to be on a separate page within the agenda, so it's at a decent size. But something, these are better than last time's. Last time it was tiny, and there's a bit of progress here, but I think we just need to work on this a little bit more so it's a bit clearer. So, Councillor Smythe.
Chair, it is helpful to have them so we can see the stacking. Some things we wouldn't pick up otherwise. I think these are good compared with what we have had, and what the next one to come is the one I want to complain about.
Okay. It may be good, but I want them better. Okay. Colleagues, any other questions on this? No? Okay. Comments? Any proposals? Councillor Atwell.
Chair, fully compliant application. I'm happy to move the officer's recommendations.
Okay. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Dorrington, thank you very much indeed. Are there any other proposals, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, can I see those in favour? Thank you. Those against? Those abstaining? Thank you very much indeed.
Planning permission is granted.
Thank you. Okay, we now move on to 245 Laburnum Grove.
Thank you, Chairman. 245 Laburnum Grove, an application for a change of use from a Class C3 dwelling house to a 7-bed, 7-person house and multiple occupation. This site lies at the eastern end of Laburnum Grove, so is in Copner Ward. The application has come into committee because there are 18 objections set out in the report. So the application is 5 doors in from the north-south Kensington Road. There it is. This one has a shared side passageway with the neighbour gaining access to the rear garden. That's the property on the left hand of these two. Some rear views. It's the property here with a backyard. With respect to the 50-metre radius and the question of mixed and balanced communities, we have one application, one site already in use as an HMO, an application pending at number 231 Laburnum Grove. Sorry, the first one verbally was on Kensington Road there. One pending at Laburnum Grove and the application site itself. So on a conservative view, if all three were approved, there would be a 4.8% density in the area, so well below the 10% guidance threshold for a mixed and balanced community. Property currently was originally being built as a three-bedroomed property with a bathroom upstairs. As for a proposal, downstairs you would come in past bedroom 6, which has an ensuite, 10.33 square metres for the bedroom, 11.34 for bedroom 7 with an ensuite, and then through into an oblong kitchen diner at 27.73. No, I'm sorry, 24.73. That's my mistake. 24.73 shared communal area. That would be achieved by a single-storey roof extension under permitted development and in the roof, a rear dormer and hip-to-gable roof extension. Upstairs, bedroom 3 at 12.57 with an ensuite. Bedroom 4 at 10.92 with an ensuite. And bedroom 5 at 14.4 with an ensuite. And then in the loft, bedroom 1 at the front, 10.63 with ensuite, and bedroom 2 at 11.09 with an ensuite. So all the bedrooms meet the expected standard of 10 square metres when the kitchen diner is not at the 34. In this case, the standard is changed because all the bedrooms are a good size, clear of 10 square metres. So the expected size of the communal kitchen dining room is 22.5 square metres. This one is 24.73. So on that basis, in terms of room sizes, it meets your guidance, and in respect of the disposition and layout and light of all the rooms in the property as a whole, it also appears acceptable and so is recommended for approval by officers. There are no updates for the SMAT, but public speaking.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. We have two deputations, although Councillor Dent, welcome. We have Carrie-Anne and we have Ben, so Carrie-Anne.
I'll be brief on this one and just say again, all the bedrooms meet or exceed 10 square metres. The bedrooms range from 10.33 up to 14.42, and the required communal area of 7 persons when they meet the size is 24.73, and this property provides is 20.5. Sorry, and this property provides 24.73. So again, in excess of that requirement. The house is going to be finished to a high specification, and our client is keen to provide tenants with high-end accommodation. The property will be professionally managed, and any issues, if they arise, will be dealt with promptly. The application fully complies with policy and also complies with the Houses and Multiple Occupation Supplementary Planning document. And I trust that you agree with the officer's recommendation for approval today. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Swan. Jane, are you okay? Councillor Swan.
Thank you, Chair. I'm at it now. My concern with this application is that several of the bedrooms and ensuite bathrooms only just meet the minimum size requirements. Bedrooms 4 and 7 are very narrow, and there are no beds drawn on the plans to illustrate the practicality of sleeping and living in such a small, narrow space. Access to natural light in bedrooms 4 and 7 is restricted by small windows with high walls immediately outside of them. It should also be noted that the kitchen dining room has a corridor area as the room is entered. And as has been mentioned previously, this needs to be clarified as to whether this reduces the usable space in the room. As I said before, we need to be looking at what is right when it comes to space for residents of these properties, not just if it meets a measurement on a piece of paper. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Swan. Simon, could we go and look at the existing floor plan of the building, not the proposal? Okay, and on the side of this building, Simon, to the left of it, what is there? It looks as if it's the alleyway.
Yeah, it's a shared alleyway, normal width, I would say. So you've got the normal width of your own alleyway, so to speak, and then next doors.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Colleagues, questions? Councillor Mason.
Once again, I'm concerned about the amount of light getting into bedrooms 4 and bedroom 7. The alleyway looks as if it is actually fairly narrow. And so are these full-length windows in both cases?
I'll just see if we have the elevations. So the windows in question are here and here. They seem to be normal windows. I don't think they're floor to ceiling, but they're a good size from sill to lintel. You know, a good size original sash window type aperture. And I would point out that those are the existing arrangements of the existing property there. So you've got this slightly unusual kink out, which is original and existing, but the alleyway actually is wider than the side wall. So unfortunately it's not shown here, but the alleyway runs, the property boundary, I should say, runs down. It's wider than just this narrow gap. It's about there. Sorry for the slightly moving cursor. So it's not a particularly tight light well, I would say, and that's replicated on the other side. So I think it's an existing pattern of light reaching those windows to existing bedrooms and living room. So really no change in that respect. So I would conclude that's acceptable.
See the proposed floor plans, please. Thank you. So that sometimes when we see these, that kink, which was put in for the purposes of those rooms getting more light, is taken out. It's not taken out here, and we've got to add to it the what's next door. So, thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Atwell.
My question was about lights in bedroom 2.
Oops.
That wasn't an existing bedroom.
My observation would be it's the same pattern effectively, building on top of the same kink, let's call it. And of course you're much higher here, Councillor. That's an ensuite as the first thing for bedroom 2. I know the plans are small, so that's the bedroom window for the proposed bedroom 2. That's got no impediment to it whatsoever. That's got light from above and surround and so on.
But Simon, the shower is across the window in that ensuite for bedroom 2. Are you allowed to do that?
I don't have technical knowledge of any possible building regulations or anything, but not aware of it being a problem.
Carrie Ann has got an answer.
So where we can get light into the en-suites, if possible, we'll do it. And as you've seen in the shower there, what we generally do is a high window boxed in, and then the tenants can use them for shampoos or anything, but it will be a high level, sort of just to provide additional light and ventilation to the bathroom.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? No. Colleagues, comments? Simon, a comment to you. The plans on page 49 are very, very, very small.
I'll take that away, Chairman.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, I went to the optician last week, and I had a very good mark on small reading and big and long distances. Contact lenses all fine. I think it's impossible to expect anybody to read those without a seriously big magnifying glass, and that includes the public. And I realise we have the opportunity and do look at what's on the website, but even there you'd have to use your screen expander to do it. This can't happen again. It's just people can't see them, and the public can't see them most importantly.
Simon said he's going to take that away, so but that's helpful for the record.
I would just point out that even if they're blown up very large, the resolution starts to break down, so we don't really expect a detailed analysis to be possible from the plans in the report. They are available online, and we will do our best to present them here as large as you like.
But I'm concerned about the public as well, and we can't expect that. And then, frankly, we have to require applicants to do bigger plans. I mean, it's not much to ask if you're going for a planning application.
Judith, my understanding is actually the bigger plans are the problem. Ones that come in on A0 are much more of a problem in terms of reproduction than the stuff that comes in on A3.
Asking for
no, I know, but but I think you're completely right. This is too small, and I think we would fall foul of equalities legislation if we're just assuming that everybody has access to the interweb, which they don't, particularly in the city. Mary.
Also, for people with dyslexia, it's impossible to see. And I know Ian would like us all to go and look online, and that's great if you can. But if you're sitting home with a mobile phone looking at it, and you can't get in, it's impossible. And it's not much to ask.
No. In my view, the paper record the paper agenda is the agenda of record. Okay. Is that, so any other comments about this application? I'm happy to propose officer recommendation.
Happy to second.
Okay. Any other proposals, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, can I see those in favour? Please show. Those against, please show. Those abstaining, please show. Okay, thank you very much indeed.
Planning permission is granted.
Thank you. And Simon, again, having the red numbers on the added is very, very helpful. Okay, moving to 24 Burlington Road. Councillor Adair, thank you for coming. And my apologies for last time, Richard. We got through things quicker than I had expected. And therefore, having told you we wouldn't get to things and therefore you were unneeded, we did then. And so my apologies.
Thank you, Chairman. We now have an application at 24 Burlington Road in Copner Ward. It's an application for the change of use from a Class C3 dwelling house to a 7-bed, 7-person HMO. The application has come to committee because of 6 objections, including from Councillor Swan. Burlington Road is a north-south road in the middle of the Portsea Island, Terrace Street, as you can see. The property is on the left-hand side, not the one in scaffolding, on the left-hand side here. The application includes permitted development extensions, single-storey rear extension, rear dormer and roof lights, and a very minor addition to bedroom 7. I'll show you in a moment. With respect to the guidance for a mixed and balanced community, the 50-metre radius shown picks up some existing HMOs, 5 already identified. This property, as the planning history sets out, already had a consent last year to change from a C3 to a flexible C3 or C4 small HMO, so it is already counted in the data. So with a property on the east of Farlington Road there, and then properties at the northern end of the radius and the southern end next door, and this application, there are 5 existing, and it would be 5 if this is approved because it's already got a C4 consent. That 5 in the 77 properties equates to 6.5% density, so within the 10% threshold of our policy guidance for a mixed and balanced community. With respect to room sizes, existing ground floor, existing property started life as a 3-bedroomed house with a bathroom, fairly traditional layout. The previously consented C3, C4 scheme is shown. We can look at that if you would like in more detail. The proposed floor plans, here we are. The bedrooms are all 10 square metres, which means that the communal kitchen dining needs to be 22.5. Going through the front door first, if I may, bedroom 6. It's 10.05 with an ensuite. Bedroom 7, 10.05 with an ensuite. Through into the kitchen dining room, 23.98 square metres. Upstairs, bedroom 5 with an ensuite, 10.11. Bedroom 4, 10.05. Shared bathroom, and then bedroom 3 at 10.05. Into the roof, bedroom 2 at the front, 10.07 with an ensuite, and then bedroom 1, 10.05 with an ensuite. So since all the rooms meet the 10 square metre threshold, the communal kitchen dining room may be 22.5 as a minimum. It is 23.98. Got a fairly wide area, not a corridor, I would call it, a fairly wide functioning kitchen area on the entry before it opens out more widely into the rest of the room. So officers have felt not only does it meet the size standards, the general disposition of the rooms is deemed acceptable, and so officers felt with respect to overall amenity for the occupiers and light, the development was acceptable and so could be recommended to you.
Simon, is that it?
I was just checking, there's nothing on the SMAT.
Okay, so questions, Councillor Smythe. Oh, no, hold on. No, I'm wrong. We do deputations. My apologies. Carry on.
Okay, so as Simon says, this property previously has a C4 planning approval approved last year with another agent. We are now back to apply for the seventh bedroom planning approval. So in reality, you're just considering the 1 additional bedroom today. This one had an unusually low amount of objections, so wasn't actually due to be coming to this committee. Councillor Swan made a very late stage objection, well past the consultation date, which triggered the need to come here today. So I'm quite pleased to see that Councillor Swan has turned up today to object in person. All the bedrooms meet or exceed 10 square metres, and the required communal area for 7 people when all bedrooms meet this is 22.5, and this property has 23.98. As you can see, 5 of the bedrooms also benefit from an ensuite. 2 of the bedrooms in this property unusually share a bathroom. Now, I appreciate members are used to seeing ensuite accommodation within these properties. This shared bathroom arrangement offers a lower price point at which lower can be attractive to those on a lower income. So again, we see quite a sort of a want for these bedrooms also. This application is fully compliant with policy PCS 17 and PCS 20 and PCS 23 of the local plan and complies with your housing and multiple occupation supplementary planning document. I ask that you side with the officer's recommendation today and approve. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Swan.
Thank you, Chair. I'm objecting to this application on the basis of usable space and acceptable conditions for residents. The size of the bedrooms determine the size of the communal area. If all of the bedrooms measure 10 metres square or above it can be 22.5 metres square. If they are not, this area needs to be 34 metres square. Bedroom 1 is measured at 10.5 metres square. However, with unusable space for the door circulation area deducted, the room has only 9.56 metres square of usable space. Bedroom 2 is measured at 10.7 metres square. There is a corridor from the door to the end of the ensuite, which is unusable space. This corridor is approximately 1.5 metres long by 0.8 metres wide, which is 1.2 metres square. Therefore, this room only has an 8.87 metres square of usable space. Bedroom 3 is measured at 10.5 metres squared. There is a corridor from the door to the end of the bathroom, which is approximately 2 metres long by 0.85 metres wide, which is 1.7 metres square. Therefore, this room only has 8.35 metres square of usable space. Bedroom 4 is also measured at 10.5 metres square. Its width is given as 2.16 metres wide. The minimum width requirement is 2.15 metres, therefore there is only 1 centimetre leeway along the whole length of this room for any error or adjustments. Bedroom 5 is measured as 10.11 metres squared. However, with unusable space for the door circulation area deducted, this room is only 9.62 metres squared. Bedroom 6 is measured at 10.5 metres squared. The unusable small alcove behind the door is enough to make this room below space standards. With the door circulation area removed, the area of this room is 9.31 metres squared. There will also be restricted use of the bay area in this room. Bedroom 7 is once again measured at 10.5 metres squared. Approximately half of this room is labelled as 2.9 metres wide. The minimum width must be 2.15 metres wide, therefore it is below width. Once again, the circulation space of the door makes this room below size at 9.56 metres square of usable space. Bedroom 5's ensuite is also on the minimum size requirement, so has no margin for error or adjustment. Bedroom 6 and 7's ensuite measure 2.75 metres squared, which only provides 1 centimetre square of leeway in each case. The communal area is measured at 23.98 metres squared, but as all of the bedrooms are not 10 metres squared or above, the communal spaces need to be 34 metres square for a 7-person HMO. In addition, there appears to be 2 cookers in the dining area. Also, it's not clear where the tanks for the water system are. They're normally marked on the plans. There's a narrower door going under the stairs for the kitchen area. If the tanks are to be kept under there, then it's going to be impractical for any kind of realistic servicing on the tanks. We really need to be looking stringently into room sizes because these issues are being raised more and more, especially when more and more undersized houses are coming before this planning committee to be made into 6, 7 and 8 bedroom HMOs. A property such as 24 Burlington is quite clearly not large enough for this purpose. The regulations regarding unusable space and room shape must be adhered to and are there for a reason, or Portsmouth will be known as a council that is passing substandard housing. None of the bedrooms in this proposal can be called spacious. The house is not big enough for all bedrooms to have their own en-suites and is quite clearly too small to be converted in this way. The property is better off being used as a much-needed family home. And as a final point, could I ask Carrie-Anne or one of your colleagues to make contact with the neighbours of this property, as there are issues caused by the previous developers, admittedly not by you, which are still causing huge amounts of stress and upset. And as I said, I know it's not of your making, but it would be a sign of good faith if a conversation could be had. Thank you.
I think, Carrie-Anne, did you say you have already spoken to the lady? If you could use the microphone, your words then can get to everybody.
Sorry, I have spoken to her at length already, and I'm in contact with the developer. She's got some issues with some rainwater ingress from a previous builder.
Lovely, thank you. Okay. Simon, the issues in terms of room sizes and corridor would be my question as well. I'm thinking in terms of both bedrooms 3 and 2, there are clearly corridors there, and if those are going to take us down below the usual space standard, then the communal space is below standard.
Thank you, Chairman. I do apologise. I'm not doing very well with the SMAP today. There was an update on this one.
Yeah.
I better just read that out quickly.
Yeah, do you mind? Thank you.
With apologies. There was one further objection received post-publication. There was concern about removing the family dwelling. We've rehearsed already the local policy threshold of 10% not being breached. And then secondly, all officers wanted to clarify a very small, the report mentioned one ground floor extension. There was actually a very small second one. Just at the back here of bedroom 7, very small, that was done to make sure the room meets the 10 square metres, so quite an expensive need to provide a small extra amount of space, but indeed to make sure that the room met the standard. Right, thank you. On to comments about the size and configuration of the rooms. I didn't catch all of Councillor Swan's points, but I caught quite a few of them. And we have, as you would hope and expect, looked at these carefully in this instance. First of all, just remind members that there was a fallback position of last year's C3, C4 consent. So this property already has planning permission to operate as a small HMO for up to 6 persons, with a very similar layout to what you can see in front of you. The main change is one of the ground floor living room they had in the consented scheme is now shown as a bedroom, which is the usual 2-stage approach to getting a larger HMO. There it is. It's possible to do it that way if repetitive and so on, but there's no rule against it. But the layout is broadly similar, including on the rooms mentioned. For example, rooms 2 and 3, Councillor Vernon Jackson, Chairman. So I'll see if I can zoom in on those. So, bedroom 3 is this one. So we have a length that I think both Councillor, yourself, Chairman, and Councillor Swan were referring to, this length in here. First of all, as you can see, this is the approved layout from the C4 consent, so it's pretty much the same thing already approved. So even if members aren't that keen on this, it has already been approved, which is obviously a key material consideration. As I said earlier, for a previous application, if there's a very long corridor, when you start to say, well, hold on, and it's only just meeting the 10 square metres because of the use of that very long corridor, then officers will often go back to the applicant and ask for changes. This is not so long as some other ones we've seen, and you can use this space to some degree. It's not open room, but you could, for example, pop your shoes along the floor, have a little bookshelf there, or have your coats hanging on a rack alongside the wall. So there is some usability to that space. So that is why we're happy to still recommend, carefully considered, that room to you. Bedroom 2 upstairs. is the one at the front. So again, we've got the same question about this space running into the room. As you can see, the approved plans on the left-hand side have pretty much the same arrangement as well. So again, you could put this element to some useful purpose, as I've just described, and they have the fallback position. So again, we were happy enough to accept that. Councillor Swan picked up some other corners, nooks and crannies of the application site, for example. I'll just try and manage this. For example, in bedroom 6 on the ground floor, he's picked up on this small area, and that's fine. That bedroom is 10.05. I looked at that as well, discussed with the case officer. Although it's behind the door, when the door's shut and you're in the room, that's enough space to use for one reason or another. For if you can find a chest of drawers that fits in neatly in there, or boxes on the floor, or shoes, or shelves, and so on. So I think that's reasonable to include that as part of the 10.05 square metres for that bedroom. And there are various other bits and pieces like that around the property. So in the round, we felt this was supportable, and indeed it was approved on broadly the same layout in such details as last year.
Okay, colleagues, any more questions? Councillor Smythe.
My question, thank you, Chair. My question was about the ground floor and the door to the cupboard under the stairs. What potential is there for use that, and will there be shelves in there, and will there be tanks, and is it at a useful space?
Thank you. We're talking about the space here. Well, there's clearly a door to it, and as you rise up the stairs, clearly at the point you enter into it, I would say it would be pretty much full height, and then it would taper down in space. So that is clearly a usable space. It's got a door to it. So whether that's for the tanks or for some other extra storage purpose, I think there is a volume of space to be used there.
Yeah, Councillor Smythe, you want to come back?
I'm wrestling whether this is a question or I think I'll make it a question. I share Councillor Swan's concerns about the size of these rooms overall. They're all just a little bit dubious because of corridors and so forth. My question is, and I don't think it would be appropriate to put it on the plans, but I would like to perhaps see in the future some consideration of that. For example, the bedroom with the longish, can we see the full plans, please? The bedroom with the longish corridor, the one at the top, bedroom 1, no, not bedroom 1, bedroom 3, would enormously be more livable in if there was a very large cupboard over the top of the door. It's very common in small places to put cupboards over doors. You can't reach them easily, but that's where you'd put your suitcase, which otherwise is absolutely impossible to put anywhere unless you can go under the bed. I'd like to see a bit more attention paid on the plans or in the reassurance given by the applicants that there are clever shelves in places that make those spaces usable. I've seen that done often. If you're a sports person and you want space to put your tennis rackets and other things, you cannot put them in these slightly undersized bedrooms. But if you had a really decent cupboard over the top of the door in the corridor area, you don't need more than head height there, there's plenty of room there, then I think we could make these acceptable. And it would be nice if that was shown somehow on the plans to give us reassurance. I mean, I take Simon's point about a row of shoes, but I'm talking about something much more substantial in the corridors by way of high-level storage. And I'd like some reassurance about that, please.
Simon?
We're getting down to a level of detail that almost gets beyond the planning applications, I would say. Yeah, so that's thank you, Councillor. That's the sort of difficulty we get into. I'm not sure about head height here because of the reduction in ceiling height that tends to go with many of these properties. The the ceilings in the first floor tends to be taken out and lowered, so I'm not sure how much height there is left, for example, above a door, in any event, let alone after that slight lowering, which I think is happening in this property. So, yeah, I think it's up to the landlord and or the tenants to either provide, in the case of the landlord, if they would like to, clever solutions, storage solutions, and or for tenants to ask for them. But I'd say it's probably beyond the scope of planning control.
Okay, Councillor Atwell.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm a little confused. With bedroom 7, which bit is the sort of bolt on?
I think it's just around where the window is, Chris.
So just that bit
little
to the
tiny
left.
extension.
I was going to say, so how much, what was the expression? Use for purpose is that space in reality? How big is that?
Simon?
Yep. It's hard to read. It's just this. You can just about make out a shading. It's not the plan drawer's fault. It's just the reproduction. There's a shading of that little wall. So this area is the extension. As I say, it's to make sure, because of slight rearrangements compared to the consented scheme. Without that little nib there, it wouldn't meet the 10 square metres. So as I said, it's an expensive requirement on the part of the applicant to provide that, but they felt they needed to, clearly, to get to the 10 square metres. It is about half a metre long from front to back. That's all. It's just a little single-storey extension.
So that's 18 inches in real money. Councillor Dorrington.
I've got a couple of questions. One, because there's an existing agreed planning application in place, does that mean that then we are to disregard all the plans apart from just bedroom 7, the additional, or are we to look at all the plans as a whole?
Thank you, Councillor. That's a good question. I'd say it's somewhere in between, because there are some changes. That's why I said at the start that the principal change was the ground floor living room in the consented C4, in essence, would become a bedroom if approved to provide that 7th person. Otherwise, the changes are relatively limited. There are these little tweaks here and there, and to get into those sorts of details is quite difficult. But where I have been able to show you that it's exactly the same, the shorter corridor elements I've shown you in whichever bedrooms they were, bedrooms 2 and 3, those elements were almost exactly the same by my eye as the approved, hence me saying it's a strong material consideration, the previous consent. If you happen not to like those corridor elements of bedrooms 2 and 3, unfortunately, if you don't like them, they were consented previously. So to try and answer your question, Councillor, the main difference is the change of the consented living room, which was an extra in the C4 scheme, and as we know, there's often a 2-stage process where then they get their consent and come in and say, actually, we'd like to have that as a bedroom. Be that as it may, if the previous scheme met guidelines and assessment, and the new one does, and it does certainly meet the guidelines, then it should be approved.
Surely the previous plan had the benefit of a much larger communal space to be shared. I think that is that correct?
But I think Nick's question was around the use of the bedrooms, which hasn't changed in the upper floors.
Except that if there was a larger communal area, we could accept a smaller room.
Yeah. So, okay, Councillor Mason.
I'm very unhappy with the extension which brings bedroom 7 up to exactly 10 square metres, because of the light is actually not coming in so much into the room as into a small addition to the room. The room must surely be really very dark. So how good is the lighting into that room?
And Councillor Mason, I would agree, because it's an existing room, but there is a significant extension at the back, which is going to significantly reduce the amount of light available to get to the window in bedroom 7. Simon.
Yeah, I think it's similar to the previous discussions we've had on another site.
This previous discussion on the previous one was using an existing, they're using an existing floor plan.
Yeah.
This doesn't. This extends with PD rights the ground floor significantly further away from that window.
I'll just zoom in on it again. So it's, that's it. Bedroom. It's that area. There we are. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the existing window is about in line with the cursor there, and it's pushing it forward by 0.57. I think I said. I'm not sure it would change the light much to that room. It's the same compared to the existing. It's the same sort of size window and the same sort of position. It's controlled by the amount of light in the light well, which wouldn't change. You've got the single-story existing rear wing next to it, and the same thing mirrored on the other side. So I'm not sure there'd be much material change to the light entering that room, with a slight change in position of the window.
But some of the point is that in the previous application, I understand bedroom 7 wasn't a bedroom, and it now is, and therefore we have to think about it, and they're providing smaller bedroom, smaller amount of communal space because people are meant to spend their time in their bedrooms, and therefore that's seems to me, with the addition of the much extended ground floor, that seems to me to be a difference from the previous application. Councillor Candlish, you were hovering over your microphone.
I did twice, but other people I saw speaking, so I dropped out. It would
be helpful if you could gently wave.
I will do so in future, Chair. So 2 comments. One was, so I also realised this was a comment, so I will save that one. On this bedroom, now that we're getting into the detail, I would see that this is actually also different because essentially that light is now entering through an albeit not very deep tunnel to reach this bedroom because we've got a side wall on either side to it. Is it possible to see that in the drawings to see what the window actually looks like? Because the other obvious question that we've discussed a couple of times already today is how big is the window, how tall is it, and if there is anything that can be done.
I'm afraid we don't have the elevations here. I'm looking at them. It is what I would call a standard window, sort of waist height to above head height.
So
proportions.
To build on what the Chair said in my comment, we've converted this from a non-bedroom in which you are expected to spend a reasonable proportion of your time into one where it is, and we have reduced the level of light that is likely to be entering because we haven't changed that window versus what it would have been when it was a lounge or another room.
I wouldn't agree that the amount of light has been much affected. I'll try and explain if I can get it going again.
I think this will be a qualitative judgment.
Yeah, I'll give you my opinion. I'm trying to zoom in on it, but the mouse isn't playing ball. There we go.
Because, and sorry, one final thing before you do that, before you have to fiddle with the zoom, and one of the previous ones, there was actually quite a big space between this property and the next. It was effectively like a semi-detached. I've forgotten, I could look in my thing. Is this one a detached or a semi-detached or terraced?
It's a terrace, so it's
quite a narrow corridor through which that light is coming.
It's a mirrored light well, we call it. So yeah. So to be clear, on the left-hand side is the consented scheme with a permitted development rear extension. On the right-hand side is the scheme in front of you with the same length permitted development rear extension. In any event, the light entering that window proposed, or the previously consented one, most of the light comes from above, from the sky, down between the 2-storey rear wings, and into that. I've just got some scaffolding up at my house for some works, and outside one of my bedroom windows is a platform, and I really noticed the cutting out of the light because of those two planks outside the lintel of my bedroom, which really demonstrated to me the light's coming from above, not in front of you. So the light entering this window is coming from above, and I don't think it would be materially affected by the rear extension, which in any event was consented with the scheme that went through last year. So that's my opinion, Councillor.
Okay, Councillor Dorrington and Councillor Smythe.
Thank you, Chair. Taking on board the points that sort of everyone has said today, with regards to the small extension and the back window, to my knowledge, light doesn't go around corners. So the presumption is that the further the window is pushed back with a flat roof put above, it's then restricting the amount of light that can actually enter the room around not only the lintel above, but also the right and left hand corners. And secondly, with regards to, and I'm going to come back onto it again, room sizes, now that the number of bedrooms have changed, my assumption is that that means that the area in the bedroom needs to be larger to accommodate for the smaller kitchen and communal area, which brings me back to bedroom 3. How long does a hallway have to be until it's deemed a long hallway? Because that one is some 2 metres, which I actually deem unusable space.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Dorrington. The bedroom size requirements doesn't change, whether it's 6 or 7 or 8 people, as long as the communal kitchen living room meets the standard 22.5. This does. It exceeds that. The bedrooms remain requiring 10 square metres. Of course, effectively, we're going, if this is approved, the C4 consent would have up to 6 people. The proposal is for 7. That's sharing the communal room, whereas the bedrooms are still for one person to recreate in. So, you know, the requirement for 10 remains the 10 for the one person in that room. So, on size standards alone, it meets it. So, members will make their own judgment about the light entering that room. I've given my opinion. As to how long a hallway is till it's deemed to be too long, I don't have we don't have any measurements like that. So I think it would be a qualitative assessment on each and every one on its own merits.
Councillor Smythe.
Just like to thank the officer for pointing out that it is the light from above that's important, and this is what this room is with the new the extension is going to lose. I do think it's undoubted that if unless it's glazed, the top of that little extension, it will lose light, and light doesn't go around corners. I always wonder, and this is why developers don't think of putting in sliding doors, because that bathroom, if you look further down, the bathroom, 2-bedroom on the ground floor. Contains more than a square shower. It's a where is the bathroom to that bedroom?
Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about, no, that's the communal WC there, isn't it? Yes. No. I'm so sorry.
So the communal WC, I think, goes. It was in the previous application.
So I don't want to see anything about to do with the previous application. Yep. I want to see the current application, ground floor, bedroom 7. That bathroom contains what looks to me a more than square, potentially oversized shower. And why the developer doesn't, and even in bedroom 6, in fact, it applies to quite a lot of these rooms, use a well-made sliding door rather than wasting wall space with. I mean, the reason that bathroom is designed that size is because of the swing of the door and the need to be able to sit on the loo and have enough space. But sliding doors use would give us some of the space that I think we're looking for. Can I ask a question of why that wasn't commented on and hasn't been discussed with the applicant?
So my understanding is looking at the paperwork that the minimum standard is 2.74 square metres for that bathroom, and it's 2.75, so it's 1 square centimetre bigger than standard.
We have in the past
Yeah.
looked at bathrooms and looked at the usability.
Yeah.
And I
So-
would certainly be happier
With a
this
sliding door.
if we had
I-
more room in the bedrooms.
I'm sure developers will listen to the words. Simon, is there any view from the planning officers about sliding doors in bathrooms?
No, I'm sure if it was in the licensing or building regulations standards, it would be designed as such, so I assume it isn't, notwithstanding any clever ideas.
Okay, colleagues, any more questions? No comments, and I'm going to propose that we refuse planning permission, that because between the consented application from 6 going to 7, the amount of communal space has fallen from 37 square metres to 22.5, so it's almost halved the amount of communal space, but increased the number of people using it, and therefore bedrooms 3, 2 and 7, in my view, are below the level of 10 square metres of usable space, and there's also lack of natural light to bedroom 7, and therefore my view is that this application is failing because it does not provide enough communal space for 7 people to use. So my proposal would be to refuse on that. Do I have a seconder? About 93 of you, sorry. I think Councillor Smythe was first. So, are there any other proposals?
Can the planning officer come back on the proposal first?
Okay, so we have 3 elements. I think you've made a comparison between the communal areas approved for up to 6 people and what's proposed now. It's getting smaller, but with more use, 1 extra person. 3 of the bedrooms are too small, and natural light to bedroom 7. You did read out, Chairman, some of the sizes of the communal areas. I'm not sure they were quite correct, so I just thought, for the record, just read them out. From
No, I'm sorry, you are correct, sorry. It goes from 37 to 24.1.
The plans I've got in front of me had, for the C4 consent, had 27.39.
And also a living room.
And then the living room, which wasn't required.
But that is...
Yeah,
but
okay, so you were adding the 2 together, right? Yeah. Okay, well that explains that difference in sizes. And then the proposed communal area is 23.98. Right, well, just for the record, clearly officers are looking at the guidance. Officers' opinion is that the communal kitchen, living room, not to make a comparison with the previous consent, you need to consider what is in front of you, not the comparison. Is the proposal in front of you capable of support or not? And the communal kitchen living room is 23.98 square metres and of a suitable disposition and layout. So officers feel that it does meet the size standard, and on any subjective analysis is a good layout, an appropriate layout for the proposed 7 people. We've discussed the different bedrooms and the light, so I won't comment on that further.
But Simon, that would all be fine if all the bedrooms were above 10 square metres, but my view is that with the corridors, there are 3 bedrooms that are below the space standard, and therefore with bedrooms below the space standard, then we'd have to go back to the higher level of communal space that is required within our plan.
It's got to be both and, Chair, hasn't it? It's the fact that the 3 of the bedrooms are lack usable space to get them up to the 10 metres squared, and one of the bedrooms lacks enough natural light, given that new extension. And the fact it's roofed over, if it was glazed, you would get quite a lot of other light in, but it doesn't, no indication of that. And therefore, the communal space is insufficient.
It's too small.
It's both and.
Okay. Simon, are you happy with that? You know what we're thinking about?
I know what you're thinking. in bedroom 7, if there is a conditional solution to an issue, then that should be explored. So Councillor Smythe just has mentioned a couple of times, I think, that if members feel that bedroom 7 doesn't have sufficient light, but it could do if there was a roof light, I expect the applicant would be able to accommodate that.
But then I'm sure they'll come back with a new plan.
Yeah,
but we have to
indeed,
look. We have to look at
other
what we're
reasons. So, and then I've given you my opinion on all of those. And then, if the application were to be refused, it would also have to be refused on the lack of mitigation for special protection areas.
Okay.
As a procedural technicality, so to speak.
Councillor Candlish, you're indicating.
I was indicating I would have reiterated what's been said about we need to look on this on its merits, because it has changed, I think, quite materially since the last application. And I think this is a holistic consideration that we've actually given to this property. And I suspect I know which way the committee is minded to go, and I might well be following it. The one thing we do have to watch out a little bit about is the developer is often very keen to stress that they are looking for high quality accommodation to attract the professional market. We also have to recognise that within the city there are people who want something that is frankly more affordable than that, and therefore I won't want to say that we are willing to accept substandard stuff. We are not, but we are going to have to accept less high specifications of things. And this is clearly on the edge of what is acceptable, because we don't look at things just in numbers. We look at it overall, but we shouldn't forget that when we make our consideration. That said, I suspect I know where I'm going with my vote.
But Peter, what we can do is to look about room sizes and things like that. What we can't do is to say that all the bathrooms need to be completely covered in marble and gold taps. That's not within our gift. What we can do is to look at room sizes. Okay, Councillor Mason, you're gently waving.
Yeah, just to support this, Chairman, I feel that the alignment of the space, although the space is technically adequate, the alignment of the space makes it not suitable to meet our expectations for living standards in the cases of bedrooms 2, 3 and 6, and the lighting 2, 3 and 7. Bedroom 7 is inadequate.
Yeah. Okay. Colleagues, there is one proposal on the table proposed by me. Is there another proposal? No. Can Chairman? I then see? Sorry, Simon.
I have some wording for you. Colleague has kindly written it up if it helps to read that out.
Great.
First.
Fire away and see if we agree with it.
And it was bedrooms 2, 3 and 7, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For size, okay. Due to the layout of bedrooms 2, 3 and 7, it is considered that they provide insufficient usable space for future occupiers to justify a reduced communal living space, resulting in an intensity of use of the communal space by occupiers that results in an unacceptable living environment for all, contrary to PCS 23. And then secondly, so the two reasons were wrapped into one there. Secondly, due to the layout of bedroom 7, the amount of natural light is considered to be insufficient, resulting
yeah.
Resulting in an unacceptable living environment, contrary to PCS 23. And then the third reason would be the lack of special protection areas mitigation.
Okay, colleagues. Can I see those in favour of the proposal to refuse? That is unanimous. Councillor Smythe. Okay, thank you very much indeed for your time on that one. Let's move on to Alloway Avenue. Councillor Madgwick, Mr. George, welcome. Do you have any interests you wish to declare?
Nothing to declare, Mr. Vernon Jackson.
Okay, lovely. Okay, so 45 Alloway Avenue, Simon.
Thank you, Chairman. 45 Alloway Avenue, this is an application for a change of use from a Class C3 dwelling house to an 8-person 8-bedroom house in multiple occupation. The application has come to Planning Committee because of 10 objections set out in the report before you. This is towards the eastern end of Alloway Avenue, so it's quite a long road where it curves down south there to head into Southampton Road, I think it is. So we're mid-terrace. I don't know if you can make out, but you probably can't quite. There is actually a shared tunnel between the two properties to get through to the back for access to the garden. So there it is, the second from the right. The shared access, I think, is through behind the car here. You can't quite see it, but there's one of those tunnel alleyways through into the back. So it's one of these post-war, I think, houses set down below from the road there. Oh, there's the passageway through. You can just about make it. So with respect to the first matter of mixed and balanced communities, there are no HMOs currently in the 50-metre radius. Next door at number 43 has a current application. We shall see in due course. We take a conservative approach here and say even if next door were approved and this application were approved, that would result in 2 out of the properties, of the 36 properties in the 50-metre radius, which is 5.5%, so below the 10% threshold, so in compliance with your guidance in terms of a mixed and balanced community. So the existing property is a 4-bedroomed property upstairs with a bathroom, and then good spaces downstairs as well, the rear conservatory and a second shower and bathroom. So the application for 8 people. The living accommodation would be to the rear. I can blow this up slightly larger if you like later on. That is at 23.44 square metres. Access onto the back garden. And then we have bedroom 6 at 10.53 with an ensuite. The large central hall and stairs remained. Bedroom 7 at 10.01. Bedroom 8 at 10.12, both with en-suites. Onto the first floor, a little tanks room. Bedroom 3 at 10.58 with an ensuite. Bedroom 4, 10.93 with an ensuite. And bedroom 5 at 12.74 with an ensuite. And then into the roof, which is achieved with permitted development extensions as per the ground floor rear extension as well. Bedroom 1, we have 12.09 with its ensuite, and bedroom 2 at 11.62 with its ensuite as well. So the room sizes all meet the 10 square metres or exceed the 10 square metres guidance, and therefore the kitchen dining room needs to be at least 22.5. It's 23.44. So on size alone, the rooms all appear to be of a sound disposition in terms of layout and light, and so officers are able to recommend approval to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputations, Carrie-Anne Wells.
So just to reiterate what Simon said, all 8 bedrooms meet or exceed 10 square metres and all have the addition of an ensuite above the required standard. The required communal area for 8 persons, again, is 22.5, and this property provides 23.44, much wider property than you generally see at committee, so wider communal areas. This application is fully compliant with policy PCS 17, PCS 20 and PCS 23 of the local plan, and also complies with the Housing Multiple Occupation Supplementary Planning document. I wanted to just quickly respond to something that Councillor Swan said earlier about Portsmouth City Council approving substandard housing and HMOs. I do want to stress that I deal with HMO applications all over the South Coast, and in some areas, communal areas, with just 15 and 16 square metres is required for 7 people, and these are when bedrooms are in excess of 7.5. That's what I consider to be substandard. Portsmouth Space Standards demand some of the largest room size in the UK, and I really don't think they could be described as substandard in terms of HMOs. And thank you for listening.
Okay, just for curiosity, where are the people with the dodgy standards? Yeah, speak microphone.
Sorry, when you're looking at Bognor standards, Winchester isn't much better. There isn't any that compared to Portsmouth. If you look in, we're doing some in Oxford, we've got some in Bristol. Portsmouth are the largest in the UK.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Councillor Madgwick, welcome.
Welcome. It's good to hear that a lot of councils have dodgy standards, isn't it, from a developer? That'll be in the news tomorrow, won't it, Toby? Right. In regards to this, application, firstly, I want to highlight to councillors. Although I'm sure it's not a consideration that basically this is a joint application by default, with 43 being applied for at the same time, which means you're essentially considering 16 people within 2 houses. I know you're not going to be able to consider that, but I think it's just food for thought. In relation to the, and obviously in relation to that shared little alleyway that goes down to the back to the rear access as well, you'll have 16 people there. A few other things to consider, which I'll highlight before I actually go into the of reasons to refusal. Parking, so outside 45 and 43, you've got, as you probably know, you've got a lot of green grass, then you've got a walkway, then you've got a side part, and then you've got the road. So you've got a good 7 or 8 metres until you get to the parking on Alloway Avenue from the house. And outside 43 and 45, there is disabled parking bays, because there was, not for 43 and 45, because of the limited spacing of parking on Alloway Avenue, and there's a bus stop just locally, they've had to move the parking bays for alternative houses outside 43 and 45. So I think that's also something to note. And as I say, 16 people parking on Alloway Avenue, or even if a quarter of those parts of Alloway Avenue, there would be a problem. Furthermore, those houses, as it was noted, were built post-war, and they, as probably councillors know, they weren't built to certain specs, like sound specs and noise specs and stuff that we have nowadays. The residents that are next to this application are already complaining about noise issues because the walls are simply too thin. They are too thin, and that's not the fault of the developer. They just are too thin because they weren't built that way back then. They were built to go up really quick, really fast, really efficiently, and get people in. So there is noise pollution problems already, which leads me to kind of to the points about the bedrooms. So if we look at the bedrooms, as you know, from the previous application of the reason you declined as well. I mean, let's have a look at the bedroom sizes. So on bedroom 3, you've got 10.6, which is obviously 0.6 above spec. But some of them, bedroom 6, for example, let's have a look at that. That's dead on the mark, 1010. Bedroom 7, 1010. So we are talking dead on the mark. Bedroom 8, 10.2, which is obviously only 20 centimeters squared above. There's a number of ones that are on the level here. Same with the en-suites. If you look, the 2.74 is a regulation. They're 2.75. I would argue for sure that having absolutely no room for movability in this is dangerous in these kind of properties, because I believe very strongly that you're going to have to put some sound insulation in between the adjoining walls with the neighbouring properties, and I think that's going to something that comes up. And not having a flexibility of even a centimetre, to me, is a great concern. I mean, look at bedroom 6, for example. Where are you going to put a wardrobe in that? Unless you're putting it where the natural light is coming in through the window, I can't see how in bedroom 6 you're going to put things like a wardrobe, for example. So, needless to say, on the previous application you just decided on in Copner, you know, you declined it based on 27 or 29 square metres of livable space, communal space. It's got 23, which you could argue that the bedrooms that have been listed there will not meet the space standards. So, this property, and it did actually blow my mind when it come up and I saw 8. I thought, wow, how are they going to fit? I mean, I know Alloway Avenue very well, and I've been in those properties a number of times with residents, and I cannot fathom in my head how on earth you get 8 bedrooms with en suites in those houses. And it can only be through cramping people in. And I think, as I say, there's a lot of bedrooms here that are literally just on the space standards, dead on. They're not, we're not talking 10 centimetres over or half a metre over. We are talking dead on to the number space standards. There is no room for error of the builders. There's no room for... It's going to be a problem, guys, and I think that we need to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Colleagues, questions? Councillor Smythe.
This application is for, on the table that we have, then it says they're all for single occupancy, but the actual title of the application is to an eight-bedroom, eight-person. So it is certain that it would be limited to that number of people, is it?
That's my understanding, that, that there's a, that's a condition.
Well, we don't have a condition, but it is for 8 persons, yeah, in the development description.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, colleagues? Councillor Atwell.
Could Simon answer the points made about noise and insulation?
Thank you. It's not just post-war houses that have quite thin walls, but my understanding is that the building regulations stroke licensing requires noise insulation of HMOs as they are when they're converted from a house to an HMO. So there would be noise insulation. The agent just confirmed that. So the property would end up with a better level of noise insulation than currently, albeit possibly with greater intensity of use. But those are to modern standards, so you can expect that to be an appropriate level of a noise attenuation.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, comments? And my feeling in terms of this one is it is different to the previous one, because looking at the plans, there aren't those little corridors that was so obvious and such a detrimental part of the previous planning application. This is much more square rooms, which I think makes it to... So I have Councillor Dorrington and then Councillor Smythe and Councillor Atwell.
Thank you, Chair. We see lots and lots of applications coming through here, and more so with each passing month. Many of the applications that come in are in very cramped areas of Portsmouth. They're houses which don't tend to be modular. As we spoke about, there's long hallways, there's quirky windows, there's very little area outside. This application itself seems to have been described as amongst some green areas, large areas outside the front where there's plenty of room for people. The house itself is a very square, modular design. I know the rooms only just meet the room requirements, but I think it does show that if they are square, modular rooms, then the room requirements are actually adequate. I, for one, actually quite like this one.
Okay, Councillor Smythe.
Can we imply on the answers to the question that were given about sound insulation, that the sound insulation installation is already taken into account in the measurement of the proposed rooms?
Simon.
The agent has just confirmed that, yes.
Okay. Councillor Atwell.
Just think, I have some sympathy with the idea that bedroom 6, the usable space for bedroom 6 is tight at best with that bay area. So I think my comment is I have some concerns about bedroom 6, but I'm not sure I'm going to get any traction from other colleagues. I'm going to wait to see what other people might have thought. Okay.
Any other questions? Councillor Candlish, are you loitering over your microphone?
I am guilty as so charged, but I was waiting for you to turn to comment.
Comments. Councillor Candlish.
So I'm with Councillor Dorrington on this one, that although the rooms are absolutely on the minimum that we set, I actually think the configuration of these rooms is more easily used and adopted by people, and also that the main kitchen dining area, by virtue of being more square than oblong, is also a better space to be using. And I thought it was actually quite a good perspective around the environment in which it's sitting, that we should also think about the property sits in a space. Yeah, so those are my comments.
So is there a proposal wandering around there between the two of you?
I am happy to propose the acceptance of
The officer's recommendation.
recommendations, and I'm just checking to see if there's any other condition or something that I would need, but I'm sure Judith would tell me if I'm missing something obvious.
Okay, is there a seconder for that proposal?
I'd be happy to second that, Chair.
Okay, colleagues, are there any other proposals? No? Okay, can I see those in favour? Please show. Those against, please show. Those abstaining, please show. Okay.
Planning permission is therefore granted.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Colleagues, can we just not run away for a second or a minute? The last meeting, we did bring up the issue of the timings of these meetings, because particularly when it's a long agenda, for people who work, it means they have to take both a morning and an afternoon off work. I've had some discussion with Ian Maguire. Moving to an earlier time in the morning produces a problem, because we want to be able to include objections that are received on the day before the committee. If we did something like a 9:30 start, to make sure that this is up to date, we might have to have a sort of cut-off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon the day before. And I'd like to be able to get, I can foresee people getting in at 3:30 with an objection and being upset it's not recognised in the paperwork. So I think Ian has a point there. If we do want to just do a morning or an afternoon or an evening, it seems to me then the options are 2 o'clock, which an afternoon meeting, something like 4:30 for people to be able to, most people to be able to do both morning and afternoon at work, or as some councils do, something like a 7:30 start. Personally, I'm not keen on a 7:30 start. I'm old, and sitting in here till 10 at night is not my idea of a good thing to do. So I think probably the options for us is either a 2 o'clock start or something like a 4:30 start. Either we can decide now, and I know Shah isn't here, but I know he's one of the people that it's a particular issue for, or we could do a doodle poll, so that we could include Shah in that. So, Judith,
I was going to propose a 10 o'clock start because it's a compromise and it does arguably give time for officers to take into account the additional, you know, if they, things. I can understand the arguments either way, but why don't we try a 10 o'clock start and see how it goes?
My understanding is if we go earlier than 10:30, we will have to have a cut-off time in the afternoon the previous day, when objections won't then be appearing on our SMAT. My concern is that then somebody brings in an objection during the working hours and we don't include it, people will be upset.
I understand that, but I was making a case that a move from 10:30 to 10 would also meet that need.
Okay. Judith. Not Judith, and Mary, sorry.
I'm not sure that that'll help Shah much. I think a 2 o'clock or a 4:30 would be better for him, because at least he can work the morning.
Yeah. So my proposal would be for 2 o'clock. And because we can do it and see how it works and then change, if we're prepared to be flexible. And any other thoughts from people? Because this is your meeting, not mine. Yeah.
My issue would be childcare. Obviously, I'm a single parent, and afternoons are very hard for me. Whereas at this present point in time, starting at 10:30, we get the meetings over, and I can get my children by 6 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah.
Whereas starting at 2 o'clock, it may go on till 8, 9 o'clock. Well, I won't be able to get them.
Yes. That's a very good point. Mary.
Shall we do a doodle poll then?
Chairman. Sorry.
Simon, yeah.
Councillor Mason's got his hand
Oh,
up.
sorry, beg your pardon, Great Uncle Hugh. Sorry, Councillor Mason.
Councillor Mason to you, Chairman.
Laddie.
Yeah. if we started earlier and started at 9, would it not be possible to put the cut-off time for putting objections and the like earlier, say at noon on the day before?
I think if we're going to do it at 9, then 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Ian said would work. For 9, the issue for some people is the school run, both for us and for officers. But I don't know, Derek, is that school run an issue for you?
No, because I can always get them into Breakfast Club for 8 o'clock, so that's not an issue for me.
And Chairman,
Simon, of course, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Apart from all the practical considerations that you've just discussed, can I just remind you that, that Ian was going to put together a note on some of the other practicalities, the practicalities and costs, indeed, of changing times in terms of officer manning of the proposals. So he wanted that to be taken into account at the same time, please. But
my understanding was, Simon, that would affect 7:30 because we'd be expecting people to work late. I don't think anybody's suggesting that we do that. But if Ian does want to do us a note round, I'm sure we'll be happy to look at. So what we'll do is to organise a doodle poll for people, but any other things that people need to feed in, just to say how, so that everybody else knows. Christopher.
Just personal preference. 10:30 works fine for me. 2 o'clock would be
Chris,
okay.
But you don't have a job.
But I have to tell you, this feels like a job. It's just, I prefer not to have a 4 o'clock start.
Okay, Councillor.
Just an observation that I think we also need to think about. So I am less sympathetic, if I'm honest, to these last-minute objections. So the planning process is long. That's actually what people mostly object to. So what happens at the end is we often get sort of ill-considered and rushed objections. If you've got a genuine objection, I think you have a reasonable amount of time. Okay. So I don't think that should be a material consideration, though I like the way we're thinking about the time we do it.
Okay. All right. I hope that's useful just to have some of that thinking. Judith?
Could Ian's report tell us how often it happens that it's a last-minute objection, picking up on what Councillor Candlish said? If it happens twice a year, then I'm really not bothered. If it happens every single time, there's something wrong with our communications.
Okay. All right, folks. I think that then